Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division with Mr. Newbold. So we are finishing up number 15 now on 2.3. And so we're learning completing the square. Do you remember how to do it from class? Thanks for watching the video. In case you didn't know, we've got to refresh ourselves, right? So what you have to do is that equation there is not factorable. So it's not factorable. And we could try. You want to try? X and X, 1 and 5. And sign of the middle term goes with the bigger number. And negative 5x with the 1x does not equal negative 2x, which is our middle term. Yeah, so it's not factorable. So then we can go ahead and put it into completing the square and maybe solve our roots that way. Let's see here and graph it. So we're going to bring down the x squared, right? Minus 2x. And we're going to go and shove that negative 5 out of the way. Go over there, negative 5. You're so negative. Sorry. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to complete the square. And so how completing the square works. How completing the square works is if you got this square. Okay, go ahead, complete it. You did it! It's kind of like that idea. Completing the square. And so what you have to do is you have to complete the square. So you have to take the b value and you have to take the b, divide by 2, and square it. So we take our negative 2 and then we go ahead, formula time, we go ahead and divide by 2 and then we square it. And let's show that that negative 2 was, let's show that negative 2 was from this guy right here. Okay, so take the b, divide by 2 and square it. So now we get negative 2 divided by 2 is a negative 1. And we square that, we get a positive 1. Way-o! So we're making a perfect quadratic that will square perfectly, like will factor perfectly. And so we add 1 here. But if you add 1, you can't just add 1 out of the middle of nowhere. So that means you have to minus 1 too. Because we're taking 0 and we're splitting it into plus 1 and minus 1. Which is a true story. You can take 0 and split it into minus 1 and plus 1. Sounds kind of crazy to me. But you can, because it equals 0. So we're taking 0 and splitting it into plus 1 and minus 1. Woo! And so what you can do now is you can go ahead and factor that. So we take our x squared minus 2x plus 1, and we're going to factor it. And so x squared factors into x and x. 1 factors into 1 and 1. And then sign of the middle term goes with the bigger number. They're both the bigger number. Way-o! A negative times a negative is a positive. So it worked. And then how many x minus 1s do I have? So I have 2 of them. So we go y equals x minus 1 squared, because I have 2 of them. So we have to put a squared there. And then we do negative 5 with the negative 1 is negative 6, and we bring that down. Well, we completed the square. We completed the square. So the vertex forward is x minus 1 all squared minus 6. And then our vertex, do you remember what it is? Opposite sign. So it's a positive 1, negative 6. And that means our axis of symmetry is a positive 1. Way-o. And then we graph this. So we go over 1 and down to negative 6. So there's not a, so none when it comes to, what's the word? Stretching it, narrower, wider. Yeah, it's concave up or concave down. What was the other word? I don't even remember. I don't even remember what it's called. Why don't I remember? It's called vertical stretch. So yeah, vertical stretch. And so our vertical stretch there is none. Because there's not a 2 or a half or a 3 or a third. Nothing in front of our equation there. And so that means when we graph this, it's positive now, so we are going up. just a positive invisible 1 there. And so we're going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 back 1, over 2, up 4. Do you remember that? Over 2, up 4, and back 2, up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And there's our graph. Whee-oh. And so there is number 15 done. Flip the page. Let's go. So let's try this one next. And so this is number 17, which we also want to put in vertex form. Remember, take the b, divide by 2, and square it. Right? Pause me. Try it on your own. You behind the screen, pause me. I'm going to go use this hall pass right here. While you pause me, smell you later. Pause me, try it on your own. There's no point unless you're trying on your own. Okay, so we'll take the b value, which is 8. So take the 8, divide by 2, and square it. So we get 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So now we go y equals x squared plus 8x. Like that. And then we go ahead there. And so we're going to add 16. And then, oh, we shoved the 2, the plus 22. Remember, we shoved it out of the way. You get out of the way, 22. You're too big for us. What are you doing? You're not that big. What are you talking about? 22 is just your average. I don't know. So then if you add 16, you also have to minus 16, because that balances out adding 16. So put minus 16 as well. Add 16 minus 16 from our complete the square part. And the reason why we did that is now it will factor. Factorable. And so we're going to go ahead and factor that. I'm going to tell you right now a secret. Are you ready for the secret? Here's a secret. So this number here, that's going to be a perfect square every single time because you're squaring it, dividing it, you're squaring it. And so that's going to go here and here. Perfect square. Addition, addition, right? Addition, addition. And so we'll have y equals x plus 4 all squared. Wheel. And then 22 minus 16, is that 6? I think that's 6. Wheel plus 6. And so now we have our vertex form. That's our vertex form. And then we have our vertex. Remember, it's negative 4, positive 6. Remember, it's opposite sign. Don't forget. Don't forget. Whoa, that's wrong. Remember, it's opposite sign. Whoa, opposite sign. Okay, so the real question is, when we're completing the square, what if we have an a value that's too big? What if it's not? A value is not equal to 1. For example, number 18, number 19, number 20. Yeah, so you might have to pull that number out, divide it out, and stick it on the outside, right? That'll be your narrower, wider number. So here we have number 19, and so we have 4x squared plus 24x, and so that means your a value, right? Your a value is 4, which is greater than 1, greater than 1. And so you have to treat it a little bit differently, a little special, a little bit differently. And so what you have to do is pull out the narrowness, right? Pull out the a value. So we're going to go ahead and pull out a 4. And when you pull out a 4, you get x squared plus 24 divided by 4. Pause me, you know what it is. So we get a 6x. There we go. So notice that we didn't pull out the GCF actually because we didn't pull out the x. Right? Okay. So what we're going to do now is put a second parentheses. This is y equals. This is y equals. So we're going to go ahead and put a second parenthesis out there. And you'll see y in a little bit. You'll see y in a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to complete the square. So we take the 6, we divide by 2, and we square it. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. So we take that 9, and we're going to add 9, and we're also going to balance that by subtracting 9, if you remember that. So we're going to go ahead and pull this parenthesis apart here a little bit. And still going to be here, but it's going to kind of go a little bit further outside. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So we're going to go ahead and add 9. And to balance that out, we're going to go ahead and subtract 9. Whee-oh. And the reason why I put it outside the parentheses, outside one of the parentheses, is because at the very end you'll see that we're going to have to distribute that 4 back through. Okay, so next we go ahead and do our factoring of our perfect square that we created, our perfect factoring equation. And so that's x and x. What are factors of 3? That's perfect. That's actually this number, and there's 2 of them. So that's 3 and 3. And they're both positive, they're both positive. Good. So now we're going to bring down our equation. What do we have now? We have y equals, bring down the 4, bring down the parentheses, and bring down the other parentheses. And then how many x plus 3's do we have? So we have 2 of them, so we have to write it as squared, remember? So we're going to go ahead and do x plus 3 all squared, like that. Good. And then we go ahead and bring down the negative 9. There we go, like that. So we bring down the negative 9. Now notice I kept in the parentheses there, so we're not quite done yet. So now that we've done that, we actually need to distribute the 4 through, okay? And so to do that, we're going to just distribute it here, which is already in front of, right? It's already in front of it. We're just kind of putting it there again, but you'll see. So we're distributing it with the x plus 3 all squared, and we're also distributing it with the negative 9, okay? So now our final one is y equals 4, parenthesis x plus 3 all squared, good. And then what's 4 back to that number was 4 times negative 9. And so that's going to be negative 36. Whee-oh. And so that's going to be our completed the square there. And so we'll just double check just to make sure, because I always like to be 100% sure. And so here we go, back in 2 seconds. That's it, perfect, that's the one. Okay, so then, excellent. So what's our vertex? So remember, it's the opposite sign for the x value, so that's going to be a negative 3, comma, and then the y value, the sign stays the same. So that's our vertex, as well as our axis of symmetry is going to be the negative 3 as well. Remember, opposite sign, right? So again, when you go to number 20, it'd be a good idea to pull out the negative. Go ahead and pull out the negative there. And so we're going to divide all of those. Just the biggest common, right, GCF. This time there's not that x there to worry about, so we are going to pull out actually the GCF. And so we'll pull out a negative 6, pull out a negative 6, pull out a negative 6. And so when we do that, remember, 2 parentheses, we're left with negative 6 divided by negative 6 is positive x squared. And then we have 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4. And then negative 30 divided by negative 6 is a positive 5. Whee-oh! And so that positive 5, you're going to end up sending away to the other parentheses, basically, because you are eventually going to have to distribute that 6 back again. So don't forget about that part when we send that away to multiply back in again. And so we're just going to move now this plus 5 here. And so we go y equals negative 6, parenthesis, x squared minus 4x. Okay, so now we need to complete the square. And then we have our plus 5 still. But we'll eventually have to multiply that negative 6 back with the 5, okay? And get an outside value of negative 30. So I'm going to let you complete the process on that one. And then we'll go over to our next ACT prep, where I'm going to change my attire again. What the? See you in a second. Canvas, but we're helping you with the odds. Okay, so a room has a rectangular floor that is 15 feet by 21 feet. Draw the picture. What is the area of the floor in square yards? Way-o! Do you remember how to do area? Do you remember how to do area? How do you find the area? That's the shaded region. How do you find the area? Yeah, you just multiply them. Remember? Just multiply them. Way-o. And so we're going to go ahead and multiply it. So we got 15 times 21, which is 315, which is not an answer. What happened? A room has a rectangular floor that's 15 by 21 feet. What is the area of the floor in square? Oh, yards. That's evil. Feet versus yards. What are they doing to us? Okay. They're trying to trick us. Okay, so we have to do is we have to convert to yards. I thought it was too easy, right? ACT prep, that was way too easy. So we have to convert to yards first. So we have to take feet and convert to yards. How many feet are in yards? Is it 3 feet? I think it's 3 feet that's in a yard. Right? I think it's 3 feet that's in a yard. So then we're going to go ahead and take each of these and convert it into yards. So we have feet. Thanks for looking it up, Isaac. Just to make sure. So 1 feet. No. It's going to be 1 yard. And so it's equal to 3 feet. Good. Thanks for double checking. It's good to make sure. I don't have to redo this video. Okay, so that means 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So then we're going to convert it to yards. And so since this is 15 feet and 21 feet, we're going to go ahead and divide those by 3 feet. And then the feet will cancel, and we'll have actually 5 yards times 7 yards. The reason why is because we're dividing by 3. And 7 times 5 is 35. Way-o, we got it. Thanks again for watching. Way-o. Doing math with Mr. Newbold. Woo! Way-o. Bye for now.